Welcome to the School of the Lost Tribes. Your charity helps generate the lessons needed to seal the chosen before the destruction. The sons of Zion, once a royal priesthood and chosen line of leadership among Israel, have now fallen under the heavy weight of generational curses, as foretold in the law. These males of the house of Israel, especially those from the scattered northern kingdom, were banished for their rebellion and are now reaping the bitter fruit of their disobedience. Their actions in modern times, marked by violence, theft, corruption, and moral decay, are not simply cultural or societal issues. They are the physical manifestation of divine judgment on a disobedient people whose identity has been lost, but whose curses remain. Deuteronomy 28:15 sets the tone, warning that if the sons of Israel do not hearken to the voice of the Lord their God, curses would come upon them and overtake them. The fall of the Israelite male begins here. Once charged with leading in righteousness, many now lead in transgression. Kings without a kingdom, warriors without a cause, and fathers who no longer guide their households in obedience. They were meant to uphold justice and truth, but they have become the chief violators of both. Hosea 4:2 vividly illustrates the nature of this fall. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. The men of Israel, once defenders of the covenant, now lead in crimes such as murder, assault, and gang violence. Blood touches blood. Brother slays brother in the neighborhoods where Israel's seed now dwells. Isaiah 3:12 tells us, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them." This inversion of order reveals how far the sons of Zion have strayed. Boys turn to gangs and lawlessness to find identity and power, while women are often forced into leadership roles, compensating for absent and rebellious men. Jeremiah 5:26-28 paints a dark portrait of greedy and deceitful men within Israel. "For among my people are found wicked men. They set a trap, they catch men, they overpass the deeds of the wicked." The Israelite male, rather than being diligent and righteous in his dealings, has embraced theft and fraud. These are not isolated actions, but patterns born from spiritual blindness and the greed of cursed generations. Instead of lifting his brother, he robs him. Instead of laboring in righteousness, he labors in iniquity. The sexual corruption among the sons of Zion cannot be ignored. While Isaiah 3:16-17 speaks of the vanity and seduction of the daughters of Zion, it also implies the failure of the males who provoke and exploit this vanity. Ezekiel 22:11 says, "And one hath committed abomination with his neighbor's wife." Lust, promiscuity, rape, and sexual abuse are rampant among the dispersed tribes. These men, who once upheld moral purity and protected their households, now dishonor their own flesh and defile their neighbors. Isaiah 59:7 describes how organized and drug-related crime has become a haven for Israelite males. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. From drug trafficking to street crime, the sons of Zion use their God-given strength for corruption. They have traded their warrior nature for criminal empires, using violence as currency in a world they were never meant to serve. Their skills, once reserved for holy warfare, are now given to Babylon's systems of destruction. Malachi 4:6 speaks of a restoration yet to come. "And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers." But this healing has not yet occurred. Instead, Israelite fathers abandon their children, leaving their sons to become delinquents and their daughters to seek guidance in confusion. Isaiah 1:4 calls them a sinful nation, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. These sons were meant to inherit the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they now spread lawlessness and disorder, lacking both spiritual and physical discipline. Micah 7:6 declares, "The son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother." Households led by rebellious Israelite males are battlegrounds instead of sanctuaries. The rejection of God's law has turned homes into places of strife, abuse, and disorder. Domestic violence is rampant, and generational hatred replaces the love and structure once built into the covenant people. The modern Israelite male, descendant of kings, prophets, and judges, has become a byword among the nations. His cities are filled with violence, his homes with betrayal, and his heart with lust and greed. Yet all hope is not lost. Hosea 14:1 calls to the broken, "O Israel, return unto the Lord thy God, for thou hast fallen by thine iniquity." Redemption will not come through social programs, political reform, or church traditions. It will only come through the regathering of the lost sheep of Israel, the sons of Zion acknowledging their sins and turning back to their covenant-keeping God. Only then will these scattered warriors rise again to take their place as sons of the Most High. The Mother of Zion, Rebekah's insight and the destiny of nations. In the quiet corners of Canaan, within the tent of Isaac, a drama of divine importance unfolded. Rebekah, the mother of Esau and Jacob, was more than a matriarch. She was the first teacher, the voice of discernment, the mother of Zion, before Zion was ever named. From the moment she carried the struggling twins in her womb, she understood that her role would carry a burden that stretched far beyond domestic nurture. The voice of the Lord had already declared, "2 nations are in thy womb, and the elder shall serve the younger." Genesis 25:23. These were not ordinary children. They were the foundation of 2 rival nations, Israel and Edom. Rebekah did not take this prophecy lightly. She watched her sons grow. She saw Esau, red and hairy from birth, a wild man driven by instinct and appetite. She could sense something untamed, something alien in him. Though she fed and clothed him, her spirit could not connect with his. He was like a stranger, present but distant, familiar in blood, yet foreign in heart. Esau despised his birthright, selling it for a bowl of red pottage. And Rebekah saw it for what it was, a spiritual emptiness. A man who could trade destiny for a single meal was no son of promise. She knew then that Esau was a parasite to the inheritance, a profane vessel incapable of carrying covenant responsibility. Jacob, however, was different. From his youth, Rebekah nurtured him with special care, not out of favoritism, but out of obedience. She kept him close, not merely to shelter him, but to shape him. She knew his purpose, even when his father could not see it. While Isaac loved Esau for his meat, Rebekah loved Jacob because she listened to the word of God. She taught Jacob what Esau would never learn: patience, obedience, and the understanding of spiritual matters. Jacob dwelt in tents, a symbol of contemplation, of preparation. He was not just a son. He was a vessel to preserve the name of Israel. Then came the moment of urgency. Isaac, old and blind, prepared to bless Esau. Rebekah, hearing this, knew that prophecy must not be denied. If the father would not uphold the will of God, then the mother must. She moved quickly, not in rebellion, but in responsibility. She cooked the food, clothed Jacob in Esau's garments, and covered his smooth skin with goat hair. Some call it deception, but it was intercession. She was not lying to Isaac. She was aligning the blessing with the divine word. Had Rebekah not acted, had she wavered in her knowledge and duty, the covenant could have been misdirected. She took the burden of action when the father was blind to the truth. In that moment, Rebekah was not just a mother. She was the guardian of generational destiny. The outcome was costly. Jacob fled. Esau raged. And still, Rebekah never wavered. Her legacy is not merely in giving birth. It is in preserving the chosen line through decisive instruction. Her discernment ensured that Israel, not Edom, would carry the promises of Abraham. This narrative reveals a deeper truth about the mother of Zion. When the father fails to see, the mother must lead. If she falters, if she refuses to teach, to protect, to intervene, then generations are lost. Rebekah stands as a warning and a model. She teaches us that the mother's role is not ornamental, but foundational. She must recognize the Esau spirit, selfish, impulsive, profane, and call it what it is. And she must identify the Jacob spirit, quiet, teachable, chosen, and nurture it until it walks in purpose. Today, the daughters of Rebekah, modern mothers of Zion, stand in her shadow. Many are raising sons in fatherless homes. Many are surrounded by a world that celebrates Esau and mocks Jacob. But the standard remains. If the mother of Zion fails when the father is not present, the generation will fail. But if she stands, teaches, and discerns, then a nation can still rise from her tent. The curse of devouring the seed of Jacob. In the shadows of prophecy lies a horror too real to ignore. A curse that once brought famine, now brings moral famine. Once led mothers to boil their children, now leads generations to destroy their own seed through neglect, godlessness, betrayal, and spiritual compromise. The horror of the covenant's violation is not ancient, it is alive. Its victims are the sons and daughters of Jacob, born to be rulers, but devoured by their own. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters. Deuteronomy 28:53. These words were once fulfilled literally during the siege of Jerusalem. Mothers, desperate and deranged, consumed their own infants. But today, the siege is internal. The hunger is moral, the feast is spiritual, and the children are devoured not with knives and fire, but with policies, neglect, vanity, and betrayal. In modern times, many daughters of Zion have become merchants of the womb. They birth children not in love or covenant, but in lust and for profit, monetary gain through the welfare systems of their captors. They make deals with Babylon, sacrificing their sons to the oppressor for food stamps, housing, and government benefits. They remove the father by force, by deception, or by court order, trading leadership for loneliness, protection for provision, truth for trinkets. What once were children of promise become state-sponsored products. Lamentations 4:10 cries, "The hands of compassionate women have cooked their own children, who became their food in the destruction of the daughter of my people." Compassion now means dependence. Cooking now means controlling. These women, called to raise prophets and priests, raise consumers and criminals. They feed them processed poison and entertain them with destruction, giving them iPads but no instruction, Jordans but no judgment. The horror grows deeper. Jeremiah 19:9. "I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and daughters." The Most High speaks again, and this time the betrayal is cultural. Children are sacrificed to entertainment, public education, gang culture, and anti-God ideologies. Mothers know the name of every rapper, but not a single commandment. They dress their daughters as harlots and call it confidence. They praise rebellion in their sons and call it strength. They worship white supremacist systems for handouts and become agents of their own people's destruction. Leviticus 26:29 warns again, "You will eat the flesh of your own sons and daughters." And it happens daily. Children are consumed emotionally, mentally, spiritually. No identity, no covenant, no discipline. just empty bellies and confused minds. Israelite boys grow into men who don't know they are princes. Israelite girls grow into women who don't know they are daughters of Zion. All because the mothers made deals with Pharaoh and left the Torah behind. Ezekiel 5:10 tells of the final collapse. Fathers will eat their sons, and sons their fathers. The fathers, when present, devour the spirit of their children with violence, abandonment, and hypocrisy. Sons hate the men they never knew and become the very monsters they claim to despise. Households become spiritual graveyards. The altar of God is replaced with the altar of government, hip-hop, and hustling. One generation devours the next with rage, silence, and betrayal. This is not ancient. It walks today in every prison cell, in every courtroom, in every broken home where the laws of the Most High are mocked. It dances in clubs, bounces in baby showers, and lives in households with no order, no male covering, no truth. This is the curse of consuming your own seed. Yet the Lord will not be mocked. Isaiah 49:26 says, I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh. There will be reversal. Babylon and all her systems will fall. But until the children return, until the mothers repent, until the fathers rise up, this horror will continue. The chosen people will keep devouring their future, one neglected child at a time. This is the nightmare. This is the horror, not fiction, not legend, but the slow cannibalism of a chosen people who refused to remember their God and fed their inheritance to Babylon. Deuteronomy 7:2, KJV. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Explanation. This verse is a command from the Most High to Israel regarding the nations they were to dispossess in the land of Canaan. The directive was clear. Destroy these nations completely, make no treaties or alliances, and do not show them mercy. The reason was spiritual and national, to prevent Israel from adopting the abominable practices of those nations, which would ultimately lead to their downfall. However, Israel disobeyed. Instead of utterly destroying the heathen nations and remaining separate, they mingled, made covenants, and adopted foreign ways, idolatry, customs, and social systems. This disobedience triggered the fulfillment of the curses outlined in Deuteronomy 28, particularly for the men of Israel, who were often the first to be targeted by their enemies. Modern application: curses and oppression on black male Israelites. Mass incarceration as a modern form of captivity, Deuteronomy 28:41-48. Black men in America and other Western nations face disproportionate imprisonment. Laws and policing practices disproportionately target them, echoing the curse that thine enemy shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Deuteronomy 28:48. Today, through the criminal justice system, police brutality, unjust killings and violence by law enforcement mirror the prophecy of being oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Deuteronomy 28:29. Despite movements for justice, the systemic structure resists correction, keeping these curses active. Broken families and absentee fathers. The curse in Deuteronomy 28:41 says, Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Black families often suffer under economic and social policies that separate fathers from households, either through imprisonment, unemployment, or engineered social dependency systems. Economic oppression. Despite laboring in society, black men often struggle to see the fruit of their work, a direct connection to Deut. 28:33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Systemic racism, redlining, and job discrimination ensure that wealth creation remains largely out of reach. Continual targeting and surveillance, the prophecy of being a proverb and a byword. Deuteronomy 28:37 plays out in media portrayals and societal attitudes that associate black men with criminality and danger. Conclusion: Deuteronomy 7:2 was about separation from the nations to preserve Israel's purity and obedience. When Israel disobeyed, the curses of Deuteronomy 28 began to manifest, and they are still manifesting today. The conditions that plague black men across the globe, economic ruin, broken homes, unjust policing, are not random. They are the prophesied consequences of a covenant broken, showing us that these scriptures were, and still are, about Israel, the true descendants, many of whom today are black men scattered in captivity. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Yahweh, the covenant power, Elohim, of Israel, makes it explicitly clear that failure to listen and obey his commandments would result in severe consequences, not just spiritual, but national and generational. This isn't a general religious principle. It's a legal warning in a covenantal contract between Yahweh and the seed of Jacob, specifically the Israelites. When the people broke their agreement, curses came not just upon individuals, but upon the whole nation. These curses would become identifying signs. See Deuteronomy 28:46, following Israel even when scattered among other nations. Black people today, particularly black men, living under systems of oppression, poverty, and violence in nations where they were historically enslaved, fit this prophetic outcome perfectly. This verse sets the legal ground for all that follows. The disobedience of our ancestors has brought the present judgment of Yahweh upon the children, a key principle in understanding our condition today as scattered Israelites. Deuteronomy 28:29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Explanation: this curse speaks directly to a state of mental confusion, helplessness, and societal dysfunction among the Israelites. Grope at noonday paints a picture of a people lost even when the truth is available, just like a blind man who can't see in broad daylight. This implies a loss of spiritual clarity, identity, and direction. Although the light, truth, laws of Yahweh shines, Israel stumbles in ignorance and is unable to walk uprightly in it. The next phrase, thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, reflects the continual failure black Israelites face in trying to build wealth, family stability, or national restoration in captivity. Efforts are blocked, undermined, or derailed, regardless of individual talent or effort. This is not coincidental. It's judicial punishment from Yahweh. Oppressed and spoiled evermore points to systemic exploitation, from slavery to Jim Crow to redlining, mass incarceration, and modern economic disenfranchisement. Black men especially are profiled, imprisoned, underpaid, and marginalized. The term spoiled means to be robbed and taken advantage of. This continues in education, employment, and legal systems. Finally, no man shall save thee reinforces the truth that no leader, activist, political party, or ideology can deliver us. Not Malcolm, not Martin, not Obama, because the real solution isn't political, but covenantal. Only Yahweh, through repentance and national awakening, can lift these curses. This verse vividly captures the reality many black Israelites face today, staggering without identity, losing generational wealth, and being trapped in cycles of oppression. All these mark the true descendants of Israel, judged under the covenant of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 28:33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway. Explanation. This verse reveals another level of punishment for disobedient Israelites: economic exploitation by foreign nations. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors refers to everything Israel produces: crops, wealth, industries, or skills. Yahweh warns that another nation, one unfamiliar and not of Israel, would seize and consume the benefits of that labor. In historical context, this was fulfilled many times, from ancient Assyrian and Babylonian invasions to Roman taxation, but prophetically, it speaks even more clearly to the transatlantic slave trade and its aftermath. During slavery, black Israelites in the Americas planted and harvested vast wealth: cotton, sugar, tobacco, but saw none of it. Their labor built empires: America, Britain, France, yet they received only chains and lashes. In modern times, this continues. Black communities generate billions annually through labor, talent, and creativity, entertainment, sports, culture, service work. But the true wealth is absorbed by corporations and systems, not of their making. The people remain underpaid, overworked, and economically stagnant. The last phrase, oppressed and crushed alway, shows that this isn't a short-term setback. It's a generational, ongoing burden. Black men face this in particular, constantly hustling, trying to make it, but kept under systemic pressure, legal traps, and cultural sabotage. This verse confirms that Yahweh's covenant judgment involves economic plunder and national oppression, revealing again who the true Israelites are. Black descendants of slavery fit this curse perfectly, showing that they are the children of the covenant under judgment and in need of return. Deuteronomy 28:45-46. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Explanation. Verse 45. This verse is a summary and intensification of all the previous curses. Yahweh declares that these judgments will not only fall upon Israel, but will chase them down and overtake them. The image here is of inescapable consequences. No matter where Israelites go, or how they try to escape or assimilate, the curses will follow. They are relentless and generational. The reason is made plain: disobedience. Israel's refusal to obey the voice of Yahweh, to uphold the covenant, commandments, and laws, leads to national destruction. This destruction is not just physical, but cultural, mental, and spiritual. It manifests today in black communities worldwide through poverty, broken families, violence, miseducation, and spiritual blindness. Explanation. Verse 46. This is a key verse for identity. Yahweh says these curses will be upon Israel for a sign and for a wonder, meaning they serve as evidence, a visible marker of who the Israelites are. These curses aren't random. They are proof of covenant violation. They identify the true children of Israel. Additionally, Yahweh says these signs will be upon thy seed forever. This confirms that the effects of these curses are generational, passed down to the descendants. So even in modern times, if a people show the signs of Deuteronomy 28, captivity, economic theft, broken families, spiritual confusion, and oppression, they are not merely oppressed. They are Israelites under divine judgment. Conclusion. Deuteronomy 28:45-46 is a prophetic signature. No group has worn these signs more visibly than the black descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Their suffering is not coincidence. It is covenantal. These verses are a wake-up call to recognize identity, understand the reason for affliction, and return to Yahweh through obedience. In those days, Menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. 2 Esdras 5:8. The vision and the instruction. Hear now, O house of Jacob, scattered and disfigured, a byword among the nations. Behold the horror that the Lord has spoken against thee, and let thy ears tingle, for the curses have multiplied, and the fruit of thy womb has turned into terror. The seed of Israel, once noble, is now fed on blood and bitterness. The women, unclean, unrighteous, have brought forth not children, but monsters. These are the offspring of rebellion, born not of joy, but of judgment, born in defiance of the covenant, shaped in the womb by trauma, resentment, and sin. Thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body. Deuteronomy 20, 8:53. Lamentations 4:10. The women, cursed by disobedience, eat their sons spiritually. With the milk of deceit and survival, they wean their boys into hatred. They consume them with bitterness, raising not sons, but predators, not men, but broken vessels. From their breast they pass down trauma. They groom monsters in chains, first to the classroom to prison pipeline, then to Rikers Island, to become beasts clothed in sagging pants and anger, with hearts hardened by rejection. And thou shalt eat the flesh of thy sons and the flesh of thy daughters. Leviticus 26:29, Jeremiah 19:9. They are fed music soaked in death, images of lust, and doctrines of demons. They are taught violence as a rite of passage, and the gang as a surrogate father. The women have loved the destroyer, choosing violent men to raise violent sons. These boys become feminized, mother-formed, yet father-void, soft in spine, loud in rage, predatory black men, set to hunt their own, born to destroy their brother with a glance, a word, a bullet. His eyes shall be evil toward his brother. Deuteronomy 28:54. Each project hallway is a haunted temple. Each cell block an altar of sacrifice. Gang culture is the priesthood of the damned, rituals of death, symbols of broken covenant. The name Negro was their branding iron, a byword, a monster label, and many bore it with pride, not knowing it was prophecy fulfilled. I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh. Isaiah 49:26. The sons of Israel robbed of identity now eat each other, spiritually, mentally, and physically. A cannibal culture. The mother is cursed, the son is cursed, the land is cursed, and yet the prophets cry aloud, but few hear. A soul sold for bread. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Psalm 58 verse 3. From birth, the curses hover like vultures over the heads of Israel's sons. Born into homes without fathers, born into streets soaked with judgment, many never taste innocence. They are estranged from the womb, their hearts shaped in crookedness by the sins of their fathers. These are the sons of men who bowed to idols, who walked after Baal and served Mammon. Their children are now vessels of wrath, molded for destruction. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Deuteronomy 28:41. Their lives are bartered from the beginning. Starving, physically and spiritually, the black boy walks barefoot through the valley of the shadow of death. He sees no prophet, no priest, no father, but he sees the hustler, the shooter, the predator, and he chooses his God. Yea, they sacrifice their sons and their daughters unto devils. Psalm 106, verse 37. This black boy, let us call him Zion, is offered bread from the hand of the devil, not literal bread, but acceptance, power, lust, and temporary escape from shame. The devil says, kill for me, and you will eat. Sleep with her, and you will matter. Hate your brother, and you will live. And Zion agrees. He doesn't know he just sold his soul for a slice of bread. They that forsake the law praise the wicked. Proverbs 28:4. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Psalm 62:4. The transformation begins. Zion learns to survive not through righteousness, but by adopting the image of the beast. He becomes violent. He becomes seductive. He becomes proud of evil. Why the Most High made them this way. I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror. Leviticus 26:16. It was not by accident. The Most High Yahweh did it. He cursed these sons as judgment, because their fathers, mighty men of Israel, bowed to idols, walked in pride, defiled the covenant, and forsook their God. And they have built the high places of Tophet, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not. Jeremiah 7:31. He cursed the wombs of their mothers. He made their bellies produce monsters. 2 Esdras 5:8. And he turned their eyes evil toward one another. The tender and delicate man among you shall be evil toward his brother. Deuteronomy 28:54. They were born to devour, not to heal. The feeding of the monster. These boys are not just broken. They are groomed. By who? By wicked descendants of Israel, the very mothers who love wickedness, the grandmothers who teach rebellion, the entertainers, the false teachers, and the gang elders. They feed him music of death. They feed him pornography. They feed him pride. He is not taught Torah. He is taught chaos, and chaos becomes his identity. He feedeth on ashes. A deceived heart hath turned him aside. Isaiah 44:20. His heart is filled with ashes, and the fire consumes him. He becomes one of the wild bulls in the net. Isaiah 51:20. Trapped in prison culture, in spiritual Babylon. The last trumpet for Zion. There is still a remnant. A call goes out. Come out of her, my people. Revelation 18:4. Zion must remember who he is. Not a Negro, not a monster, but a prince with God. But first, the monsters must be exposed. They are not misunderstood. They are created under the wrath of Yahweh to bring fear and judgment upon a nation that forgot him. Therefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall. Isaiah 30:12-13.